My electronic ignition from SWF in Holland has turned up today. You get the actual module itself with the timing disc, so that attaches to the end of the camshaft and spins. This goes where the original sensor unit was. It comes with the two coils, the wiring loom, which really isn't much because it's just taking the signal from the cam sensor and sending it up to the coils, and all the gubbins happens in here. Two spark plug caps. I'm hoping my original ones are okay, and it comes with HT cable, and again I'm hoping I can just use my existing one so I don't have to start threading this through. Right, on the bike the original Morini unit comes off, and this comes off, and the sensor screws on there with the disc spinning from there. The cable will go up and I'm going to poke it through, and I'm hoping that I can mount a piece of aluminium where the coils originally would have gone as a square plate to mount the new coils to, so these will come off. And then I've got to feed a positive supply, switched positive supply, so it turns off with ignition. The green earth wire off the old transducers I will just poke out of the way. The feed from the alternator I shall just wrap up and seal so that that's still there but not used. The alternator can stay where it is. Taken off the sensor unit off the end of the camshaft, cleaned it out. Apparently the electronics rely on earthing through the mounting holes. I've removed the transducer units from here. You can see where I've got a little bar coming off the battery onto like an earth post, so everything goes in there. The transducer feed from the alternator I've taped up and just got it out of the way. I've taken off the diode and the link wires that go to that earth through the ignition switch and put a little chocolate block on there and taped it up, and that's just out of the way. What I need to do now is I'm going to make, and I've got some 4mm alley, so I'm going to make a plate to go in there with a 10mm return on it to give it some strength that way, and that's what I'm going to mount the coils to. I'm assuming my HT leads are okay, and I think my plug caps will be okay, but I need to change the plugs to resistor plugs, and then I just have to work out when I can get my earth back to there, and then I need to work out a switched positive feed. So as I said, 4mm aluminium plate, a return on one side just to stop it flapping around, screwed in the original transducer mounting holes. There's a couple of extra I haven't used, and then I'm hoping the coils can just go on like this. They come with little turned aluminium standoffs, but I've got some threaded bar that I think I'm going to use, because then I can thread this onto here and then these onto that without having to get round the back once the plate. Hopefully I have enough HT leads that will reach in there. So two will be at the back, sorry, the back cylinder will be at the back and the front cylinder will be at the front. And then I could have them that way round with the HT lead close to the plate, but I think I'm going to be better with them that way round with the HT lead being there, and then I just need to double check that the side panel will go over there. If it doesn't, we might be doing them that way, or even sideways. I'm not sure, we'll play with that. Saw this trick watching an American car show. They were trying to see how much room they had under the bonnet for an air filter. Crumple some tin foil up, put it in place, So if I have my measurements right, there's 55 millimeters of clearance between the metal plate and the side panel, measuring the thickness of the tin foil, and there's 45 millimeters depth from the base of the stud to the top of where the HT lead goes in. So I think we're going to be okay. I now just have to work out where those two holes are going to go. I have the coils fitted. Power I've hot wired into the brake switch. I just need a bit of tubing to insulate all that when that's under the seat. My 4mm aluminium plate rebated had to be cut down. I've had to turn the coils over 90 degrees because they were sticking up into the top of the side panel, and I couldn't bring them down low enough because of the size of my rectifier. There's probably a bit of room to drop it if I remade the bracket, but they fitted. I'm just working out now whether I'm going to bring the holes to the forward just to bring them forward a bit. It's a little bit tight with the wires coming up onto the coil. Not too bad actually. Which comes through, follows the clutch cable round, so I can attach it to the clutch cable and then bring it in over the bar that's above this chain so the chain won't get to it. And this is the sensor and the business end with its cutout disc going through an optical reader. 2 cutouts for it to fire. It goes at half engine speed, so it is 1 spark per 2 revolutions of the crank. Printed a little grommet out to fit in there. It's only spiral wire. It all looks waterproof, but I just want to make sure that's sealed in. There is a spacer nut. I'm assuming you can hold that when you tighten up the second nut so the disc doesn't spin. And then I've got the washer and the tacho drive nut on there temporarily for the moment. And then when I've got the timing done, it can all get done up tight and the cover, the tacho drive cover, can go back on. The only other thing I'm waiting on is there is a black terminal and a green terminal, and it refers to a positive and a negative. The red is just the power that comes off the power supply, energizes the coils and goes down to the electronic unit to provide it. I've put new spark plugs on, spark plug caps as supplied, and I've got Denso plugs equivalent to the ones suggested by SWF, which I will use. Gap those to 0.7. I just need to remember that they have to be earthed to try the ignition. You can't try the ignition without these being earthed. It will damage them. Owning up to my nearly disastrous mistake, I realised I'd left the fuel taps on. I didn't think there was any problem until I took the plugs out and kicked it over and a whole load of petrol came out of the rear cylinder. So I've dropped the oil, which is mixed 50-50 with petrol. Absolutely stinks. So it's had a good few hours with the petrol evaporating from the engine. Luckily, I had some new oil. So it's had 2.5 litres of fresh oil in, kicked it over very slowly to pump it around. I've still got to have the tappet covers off to check the valve clearances. And I think I need this float bowl off to have a look at this carburetor.